Hey guys, and welcome to another video, where we will look at the Assassin's Creed series and its achievements. The Assassin's Creed series has been going strong for more than 15 years and hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. Not only that, but ever since the release of the second part of the series, Assassin's Creed 2, the games came with built-in achievements and trophies a dedicated player could unlock, meaning that whether you took down mythical Greek beasts or climbed the Colosseum in virtual Italy, you could now earn shiny achievements for doing those and many other tasks. Having played and completed many of the Assassin's Creed games myself, I naturally got curious and wondered which specific achievement is the hardest one in the entire series. And that's what we're going to find out together. Starting chronologically from part 2, we're going to work our way up to the latest entry, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and talk about the rarest achievement of each part. We then rank them based on the rarest achievement of each individual part, and find out which Assassin's Creed game has the absolutely hardest achievement of the entire series. Note that we're only going to look at the mainline entries in the series and the original release versions of those games, meaning that we will not factor in HD remasters and other such things. We also won't include any of the DLC. Lastly, please remember to leave a like and a subscription to the channel if you find yourself enjoying the content. It helps me incredibly much and I'd very much appreciate it. So, make sure you find the fluffiest stack of hay available and prepare for your leap of faith, as we figure out which game in the entire Assassin's Creed series holds the absolutely rarest achievement of the entire series, and finally jump into the video. Assassin's Creed 2 picks up right where part 1 ended and lets you take control of a completely new character this time, Ezio Auditore, who became the poster child of the series and will be our companion for the next two entries as well. This time, the game takes place in Italy, and like in part 1, you can explore an amazingly beautiful environment, rich with detail and with constructions that look fantastic even nearly 13 years after release. The game has been praised by critics and fans alike, mainly because it stuck to the same level of attention to detail as part 1 did, while simultaneously improving on all the things the first entry left fans longing for. It is often cited as the best Assassin's Creed game of all time, even nowadays, after a staggering 10 sequels, and has earned the must-play badge on Metacritic, which is reserved for the very best games out there. Achievement-wise, the hardest achievement in Assassin's Creed 2 is called Show Your Colors, requiring you to wear the Auditore cape in each city. While it sounds very easy to do so, it is worth mentioning that you first need to collect all of the 100 feathers scattered around the entire map and then bring them to Ezio's sister. There's no map for these collectibles in this entry, so you will have to look into the menu and check out how many feathers you're missing in the individual cities. After that is finally done, you need to equip the cape and wear it in all of the 6 cities. If you do all that and proudly wear the colors of Ezio's family, the rarest achievement in Assassin's Creed 2 is yours. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood lets you take control of Ezio once again, this time looking quite a bit older than in the last part. Other than a top-notch story and environmental design that fans were used to by now, the game was praised for a lot of new inventions, including new weapons and other features, and a multiplayer mode, which was extremely innovative and clever compared to the other games that were popular at the same time. To dumb it down very much and summarize the core idea of the multiplayer of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, the multiplayer mode works somewhat like a more complex version of a game of tag. You do your best to chase down and kill a specific target that gets assigned to you. The extraordinary thing about this is that you need to tell your victim apart from the NPCs that look the same and also roam the map, while someone is simultaneously trying to chase you down in the same way that you're on the lookout for your own target. The tricky thing is that the player needs to constantly find the right balance between blending in with the environment to not get spotted and killed by the player chasing him, but also know when it's time to go all out and hunt down his own target, implying of course that said target also makes itself known due to suspicious behavior like running, climbing, or whatever sets him apart from the typical NPC behavior. To get back to the achievements, the hardest achievement in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is called Abstergo Employee of the Month, and as you surely guessed correctly, has to be earned in the multiplayer mode, which is why the PS3 version sees a much lower full completion rate than its PS4 counterpart, with the latter of both having no included multiplayer mode. To earn the rarest achievement in the PS3 version of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, you will have to get a crazy amount of different bonuses, such as kill, end, team, and action bonuses. A total of 37 of those bonuses need to be earned to unlock this achievement, all highly specific and unlikely to happen randomly. This only got harder due to the fact that the multiplayer mode naturally is pretty dead nowadays. So if you want to earn the hardest achievement in all of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, you need to become a master of the multiplayer mode or find yourself a very efficient boosting loop. Best of luck if you dare to grind this one out. Marking the last part of Ezio's trilogy, Assassin's Creed Revelations puts an end to the story of the most beloved assassin in the entire series. Even though he grew old, Ezio is still as charming and deadly as ever in this part of the series. And to make sure you understand just how beloved the Ezio trilogy was, even though Assassin's Creed 2 often gets mentioned by fans as the best Assassin's Creed game in the series, what even more fans can agree on is that things got notably worse after Ezio stopped being the main character, meaning that things changed in an unpleasant way in the eyes of many after Revelations. Whether it was to an emotional attachment to Ezio, who the fans could literally see grow from a young, cocky and careless man to a battle-hardened, calculating veteran, or an actual worsening direction that Ubisoft took the series to, is up to personal opinion. The reviews for Revelations Revelations were mostly very positive, although some critics and fans began to notice that the series was getting stale and that Ubisoft didn't bring revolutionary changes to the table for the past few years. Regarding the achievements, the absolutely rarest achievement in Assassin's Creed Revelations is called Mousetrap, and although Revelations does have a multiplayer mode just like Brotherhood did, the requirements for this trophy have to be met in single player only. For this achievement to pop, you need to craft a Caltrop bomb, use it next to a scaffold to stun at least 5 guards, and then pull the scaffold down to burn them all under it. This is quite tricky to do, since you need to keep the guards all bundled up and time the bomb and scaffold just right. With how random the NPCs in Assassin's Creed act sometimes, it is absolutely possible that one or two will slip away for seemingly inexplicable reasons, just before the scaffold kills them. If you want to earn the rarest achievement in Assassin's Creed Revelations, you need to time everything just right and get rid of those nasty Templars. In Assassin's Creed 3, things get quite different for the first time in a while. Equipped with a new main character in the Animus, a few centuries further ahead than the last part was, and set in America, you take control of Connor and take part in the Revolutionary War. Assassin's Creed 3 was once again praised for its beautiful visual and nice environmental design overall. However, it became more and more obvious to reviewers and fans alike that the gameplay was getting very repetitive, despite the new additions that every entry in the series had introduced, especially everything concerning the combat. Meaning that despite a seemingly ambitious new entry with a new protagonist and new location, it still didn't change the fact that things were beginning to look stale to many fans and critics alike. Regarding achievements, the rarest achievement in Assassin's Creed 3 is fittingly called Completionist. It requires you to complete all progress tracker grid entries. While that does sound rather complicated, you basically just have to complete all the game has to offer, including but not limited to finishing all the main missions with perfect synchronization, collecting all the collectibles, finishing side missions and contracts, opening every treasure chest, and much more. Just one of these objectives can easily eat up multiple hours, so I think you get the idea, and we can all imagine how time consuming it must be to turn every little stone in the virtual America. If you do want to own the rarest achievement in all of Assassin's Creed 3, you must come prepared and with quite some time and patience on your hand. Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation is the first entry in the series so far which was first released on PlayStation Vita rather than any of the other systems. Playing out around the same time and place as Assassin's Creed 3, you're in charge of Evelyn, who runs into the protagonist of Assassin's Creed 3, Connor, on occasions. Critics and fans alike weren't too fond of this entry compared to the other titles. The length of the game feeling extremely short compared to the other entries in the series, plus the fact that it came with some technical difficulties and didn't really offer anything new compared to the more polished and generally better crafted PS3 titles, made this a rather unpopular entry to the Assassin's Creed series. When it comes to achievements for this entry, the hardest one is called Tree Ninja and requires you to complete 15 air assassinations from trees. As to why this is the hardest achievement, I honestly can just not tell you why this is so rare, since it seems to be a rather standard task to complete, especially when compared to the other achievements we've seen so far. When you look up guides on how to do this achievement, you mostly get YouTube videos that look like this. But don't further explain why this achievement is that rare or difficult to pull off. Whatever the reason might be, to get the rarest achievement in Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, you must wait for the perfect moment to strike down on enemies from atop a tree and do it 15 times before you see this trophy or achievement pop. Continuing the trend of adding new features and themes to each numbered entry, Assassin's Creed 4 puts you in the shoes of Edward Kenway, originally a pirate who happens to run into an assassin and eventually becomes part of the Order of the Assassins himself during the course of the game. Next to the usual beautiful environments, Assassin's Creed 4 offered something that had never been seen before in the series. Fleshed out an extensive naval combat and an environment that differed a lot from the last part of the series was a clear indication of Ubisoft trying to keep things fresh. The game was generally enjoyed by critics and players alike, receiving once again positive feedback for its gorgeous environment and overall refined look. Although generally received positively, and despite the additions to this game, a growing number of players and critics alike felt that the series had become stale and repetitive, focusing more on annual releases rather than taking its time to implement actual improvement and very craved for bigger innovations. Riot Pixels worded this beautifully by summarizing their opinion of the game in a review with the following words. Black Flag is not a sequel, it is just a big expansion pack and it has nothing to merit the 4 in its title. Just like Brotherhood and Revelations that fleshed out Assassin's Creed 2, it is not a step forward but a side. Expressing perfectly what many of the fans, especially those who had been following the series for a while now, disliked about the Assassin's Creed games. Achievement wise, Assassin's Creed 4's hardest achievement, All-Rounder, can only be earned by playing every game mode, using every ability and every ranged weapon at least once in the multiplayer mode. While the description alone might not sound too bad, the weapons and abilities are again tied to a leveling system, as in previous entries, meaning that you have to be willing to grind out level after level to truly unlock every ability and weapon, and not only do those weapons and abilities need to be unlocked by grinding levels, you also have to spend in-game currency to unlock them. While it's not particularly difficult in terms of skill to unlock this achievement, it is very grindy, making All-Rounder the absolutely hardest and rarest trophy in Assassin's Creed 4 and once again proves why so many achievement hunters hate online achievements. With another fresh face taking over the role of the protagonist, Assassin's Creed Rogue introduces you to the newest character, Shay Patrick Cormac. Bayek. Your story plays out in various regions of North America, including New York. And I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but I gotta mention it once again. Gameplay-wise, basically nothing changed. Until there's a massive innovation regarding combat and gameplay in the later parts, I'm not even gonna mention it anymore. Ubisoft got comfortable with reusing their established controls and giving it minor tweaks here and there to make it at least somewhat distinguishable from the previous entry. The little innovation compared to Black Flag was once again criticized heavily by reviewers, earning the title a much lower review score than its predecessor. The game got called dull, uninspired and repetitive, so there's that. Achievement-wise, Assassin's Creed Rogue's hardest achievement is called Supplier. You need to take over 10 large supply camps while only the veterans cheat is active. To explain this to anyone that has not played the game. In this game there's a thing called Abstergo challenges. They are basically bonus objectives that you can complete in order to earn activatable cheat codes such as immortality and unlimited ammo. One of those cheat codes is called Veterans, but rather than giving you godlike features and qualities like the previously named cheats, this one turns every standard group of enemy NPCs into the most difficult combination possible. So not only do you have to complete 65 Abstergo challenges to unlock the Veterans cheat, you get further punished with harder enemies while having it turned on. Having met the previous conditions, you must now get to a supply camp, kill every single one of those veteran enemies you brought upon yourself, get the chest, and then get out of the camp. So get ready for robbing the most badass groups possible in this game 10 times, since only that will earn you the Supplier achievement, and therefore the rarest one in all of Assassin's Creed Rogue. Moving on to the 8th entry in the series, Assassin's Creed Unity. This time taking control of Arno and climbing the rooftops of virtual Paris. The game had an incredibly rough start due to the many bugs it faced at launch and left many critics and fans extremely disappointed. Although Ubisoft did their best to fix the game with patches, which made it run more stable, it was too late at that point and many fans didn't pick the game back up again. For the rarest achievement in all of Unity, I got skills, you simply have to unlock all the skills. The tricky thing here being that this means that you have to beat all of the story, all of the newly added 11 co-op missions with up to 4 partners, and also beat all of the 7 heist missions, which also need to be done in co-op mode and have you, as the name implies, steal items in a very coordinated manner. If you want to earn the hardest achievement in Assassin's Creed Unity, gather yourself some equally enthusiastic achievement or trophy hunters and grind those missions out. Assassin's Creed Syndicate, the 9th entry in the series, puts you in control of Jacob Fry, who recruits a gang to help the oppressed working class in London. Although better reviewed than Unity, the game was again heavily criticized for, you guessed it, too little innovation and too much repetitiveness. To quote a very fitting review from Telegraph, Syndicate is a massive shame. Ubisoft's yearly development cycle is really beginning to leave its mark on the series. Assassin's Creed has been good. It is a series that can be great, but unfortunately Syndicate is a misstep. For a series concerned with making its players historical tourists, it is ironic that it is so stuck in the past. Achievement-wise, the hardest achievement that you can earn in Assassin's Creed Syndicate is called Without a Grudge, and requires you to destroy 5,000 destructible objects with your carriage. The fact that large objects don't count towards this trophy, and that the small objects that are in fact destructible are far and few between, does make this one of the grindier achievements on the list. There's also almost no way you'll earn this trophy naturally, and therefore you'll most likely find yourself aimlessly driving a carriage through different parts of London, trying to destroy conveniently placed objects at the side of the streets once you've already beaten the main game. However you approach and deal with this incredible grind, to get the rarest achievement in all of Assassin's Creed Syndicate, you need to saddle up and get mighty comfortable on that horse and carriage of yours, since you'll be seated there for quite a while. After taking an unusually long break between the release of 2 games for the first time in what felt like forever, Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Origins marked an entirely new milestone in the series. Not only was it the 10th mainline title, but it introduced incredibly big changes to the gameplay and environment, giving many people an extremely appreciated and long-awaited change, and marking a new approach to the series in general. In control of Bayek, you get to explore ancient Egypt. Rather than only having the possibility to explore a rather small area of the specific part of Egypt, Assassin's Creed Origins offered an incredibly huge open world to the player that they could explore on their own, only being held out of or inside of certain places by the high-level NPCs you could meet depending on where you took Bayek. In terms of combat, there were also enormous changes made. Rather than the usual combat experience that we've all come to know from Assassin's Creed games at this point, Origins adapted a lot of elements you'd usually encounter in an RPG, but never before in any Assassin's Creed games. Weapons now had stats and effects, and played incredibly differently depending on the class they belonged to. It was now also possible to purposely level up a specific talent or playstyle you wanted to see your character excel in. Additionally, there was also a system of mysterious mini-bosses introduced that would be fleshed out in the later parts of the series. Overall, the game got a lot of praise from fans and critics alike, although there were some die-hard Assassin's Creed fans who just couldn't identify with the complete chain of the series anymore. Achievement-wise, Assassin's Creed Origins' hardest obtainable trophy is called Boom, and requires you to use your bow and shoot fire arrows at oil jars, killing 30 enemies this way. As you can probably imagine, this trophy is rather situational and requires some skills to be unlocked for a character before it's possible to be achieved. Other than that, it's quite grindy, and you have to be on the lookout for those red jars you can set ablaze. If you therefore want to get the rarest achievement in all of Assassin's Creed Origins, you should train your archery skills and best start setting those guards on fire as early as you possibly can. The second latest entry in the Assassin's Creed series, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, puts you in the shoes of either Cassandra or Alexios, depending on which of them you choose. This time you're in ancient Greece rather than Egypt. While naturally not introducing as many features to the series as its predecessor, Odyssey greatly improved improved and polished some of the features that came with Origins. Lengthwise, Assassin's Creed Odyssey single player with all of its DLCs became enormous compared to any former entry. To get the hardest achievement in this entry of the series, you will have to earn the Child of Poseidon achievement. To do this, you will have to visit every underwater location in the game and complete the connected challenges. Now, as someone who's played video games for more than 20 years, I know that underwater levels in almost every game just suck, and Assassin's Creed is no exception here. What works in perfect fluid motion above the surface becomes clunky and annoying as soon as you dive into the ocean, explaining why most players didn't want to bother with this achievement. If you do want to earn the title of Child of Poseidon, however, get your goggles, fight off those sharks, and find that hidden treasure deep under the water. Finally, coming to the latest entry in the Assassin's Creed series, Assassin's Creed Valhalla lets you take control of a character of your choice, which in either case will be named Ivor. Other than further refinements and a small but noticeable overhaul in the combat system, Assassin's Creed Valhalla sticks to the same formula that the previous two parts have as well, introducing the Assassins part of Assassin's Creed at a relatively late point in the game and letting you go all out biking at first. The game did yet again receive very positive reviews from many fans and critics alike. For the rarest achievement in Valhalla, you must get the Overdesigned 2 trophy. Being the by far most specific achievement on this list, you have to kill 3 hard difficulty soldiers without breaking their shields while you're on fire. To clarify, hard difficulty enemies are at least 40 levels higher than you. So not only must you find them, they also need to carry shields which you must not break while killing them, and you need to do all of this while you're on fire. If you manage to pull off this very elaborate stunt, you will see the achievement pop up as a very unique reward. So guys, having presented each hardest achievement for the respective game, we will now order them by achievement percentage, meaning that we will start with the Assassin's Creed title, whose rarest achievement was unlocked by the most percentage of players compared to the others on this list. We're gonna rank them in order from least to most rare, to eventually get to the one achievement that is the rarest one in all of the Assassin's Creed series. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Coming in at rank number 12, the least rare trophy on this list is Child of Poseidon from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. While the trophy makes perfect sense in the setting of Greek gods and ancient Greece, finding all of the underwater spots and completing those objectives seemingly was not hard enough to do. With a 6.6 completion rate, this achievement is by far the least rare one, although still counting as a very rare one. So if you want to complete the series, starting with Odyssey might be a great idea, since it is a rather new title and therefore one of the most user-friendly ones, and achievements aside, has a wonderful story and a lot of things to do. If you want my take on it, go for Cassandra instead of Alexios as your protagonist. You'll thank me later. Whatever you choose to do, have fun diving deep into the depths of the ocean and slaying many sharks while you work on getting the Child of Poseidon achievement. At rank 11, we have Assassin's Creed 2, the first game in the entire series that had earnable achievements or trophies, depending on which system you played it on, with the Show Your Colors achievement. At a completion rate of only 5.7%, Assassin's Creed 2's hardest achievement requires you to walk through all the big cities with the Auditory Cape equipped. What makes this achievement difficult is not the actual wearing and showing off of the cape, but rather the acquirement of such. So get ready to complete pretty much everything there is to do in perfect synchronization, gather all the feathers, and then go for one last walk through the different regions of Italy while you're wearing your cape, if you do want to unlock the rarest achievement in Assassin's Creed 2 and the 11th rarest one in the series. Assassin's Creed Origins comes in 10th with its hardest achievement, Boom, requiring you to shoot oil pots with fire arrows and set enemies ablaze. With an achievement rate of only 4.5%, we're now in the ultra rare trophy zone. Although the circumstances to make this trophy happen seem quite tricky to pull off, especially repeatedly, is only on rank 10. Don't worry though, there's specific guides out there that will tell you specifically where you can farm this achievement and make it a whole lot easier to get. On a side note though, isn't it funny how within the 3 most common achievements on this list, there's already 2 of the 3 newest titles involved? What is your opinion? Do you think the newer games are much easier to complete than the older titles? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and let's see how far into this list Assassin's Creed Valhalla makes it. Moving on. The Supplier achievement you have to earn in Assassin's Creed Rogue made it into the top 10 with quite a bit of leverage. With a completion rate of only 2.6%, almost a whole 2% lower than Assassin's Creed Origins, Rogue makes it quite a lot trickier to get its rarest achievement than the title so far. The fact that you have to deal with the veteran enemies and need to take over large supply camps for 10 times in a row makes this one quite tedious, and it definitely takes a lot of determination. Not only will you have to deal with the most annoying composition of enemies, you will also have to do it a whole lot of 10 times, and depending on how you plan it out, you will have to deal with cooldown time, which is necessary for the enemies to respawn. So rather than just difficult, this achievement is also somewhat tedious. Nevertheless, if you want to fully complete and get the 9th rarest achievement in the entire series, you must push through it and get those treasure chests out of the supply camp. Assassin's Creed Syndicate earns the 8th place on this list with its Without a Grudge achievement and a completion rate of just 2.4%. As you remember from before, this achievement is not difficult at all, but rather just unnecessarily grindy and rather uneventful. You have to saddle up and drive your carriage around the city of London, destroying as many small objects as you possibly can, while trying not to fall asleep or lose your motivation altogether. This is a wonderful example of why grindy achievements can sometimes be more difficult and rare to achieve than other ones that require actual hard tasks to be completed. And to give you all a heads up, we will see this later on the list again. We're getting to the more and more rare achievements, the next rank being at only 2.1% completion rate. For the Mousetrap achievement in Assassin's Creed Revelations, you need to kill 5 guards with a scaffold after they've been stunned by caltrops. Having done this achievement myself and struggled a bit with it, I guarantee you that it isn't as simple as it sounds. You need to lure 5 guards to the nearest scaffold, then make sure to stun them all with the caltrops bomb, and then you still have to pull down the scaffold and hope that you hit them all with it. If you manage to pull all that off, and only then, the achievement is yours. Interestingly enough, despite the multiplayer mode that is also included in this game and has its own achievements, this one is still more rare, which doesn't happen a lot. Thankfully in Revelations, the multiplayer trophies were rather tame, and therefore this is still a very doable entry for anyone thinking about completing some of the Assassin's Creed games. You still might want to go for the remastered version of this game, especially since you don't have to deal with any of the multiplayer mode related struggle, and get to see the beautifully remastered version of this game. Whatever you end up choosing to do, good luck on baiting those guards into getting squashed by a scaffold. At rank 6, we have the very baffling achievement Tree Ninja from Assassin's Creed Liberation. The only title in here that originally came out on the PlayStation Vita possesses the 6th rarest achievement with a completion rate of only 1.9%. Now, the reason why this achievement is so rare and low on the list is beyond me. Checking videos on the internet and looking up information, it seems to be quite easy, as it's literally just what the description of the trophy implies. Complete 15 air assassinations from trees. While we are looking at the Vita version of this game, since it first came out on the handheld console, I don't think that this is the reason why this achievement is so rare, especially since Vita players aren't necessarily more casual players than those who play on any other system. Whatever the reason might be, if you have a PlayStation Vita and want a very rare achievement, go get those assassinations from the treetops done, and you'll have a shiny, very rare new trophy in your collection. And if anyone knows why this is so hard to get despite seeming so easy, please let us all know in the comments. Finally, past the midway point, we have the Overdesign 2 achievement with a completion rate of 1.8% from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the final part of the trilogy that completely changed the design of the series. Despite being an extremely specific achievement, where you need to kill much higher leveled enemies and leave their shields intact while you're on fire, this is only the 5th rarest achievement in the entire series, meaning that even if players have to literally take down badass enemies while being on fire to get a shiny new trophy or achievement pop, they are more than willing to do so to earn this ultra rare achievement. Funny enough, the 4th rank in this list originally tied with the Overdesign 2 achievement, so while they technically have the same rate of only 1.8% completion rate on the PlayStation Network, I solved this tie by not only looking at the achievement rate on the PlayStation Network, but also took the percentage of trophy hunters into account who got this specific achievement, which broke the tie and decided that by a wee bit, I Got Skills from Assassin's Creed Unity earned the 4th spot. As the name of the trophy implies, you need to get every single available skill for your character to earn this achievement, which, despite sounding easy, implies finishing a whole lot of quests in which at least one like-minded friend needs to give you a hand and do the many co-op missions and heists with you. There is a silver lining here, since you can do this with up to 4 people and will definitely have fun if you bring the right friends along to tackle this very rare achievement. Whether you do this with friends or a completely unpleasant stranger you met in some shady Discord server, the reward being this ultra rare achievement definitely makes it worth it. Assassin's Creed 3's fittingly titled trophy Completionist takes the bronze medal with its ultra rare achievement of only 0.9% completion rate, requiring you to complete all the progress tracker grid entries. Now, the trophy does sound intimidating, and the completion rate definitely doesn't make it any better, and sadly, that's for a good reason. Let me just tell you some of the things that need to be done. You have to complete all of the assassination contracts, level up every assassin from the lowest to the highest rank, open every single treasure chest, collect every single weapon, finish every single clan challenge and mission, complete all of the delivery quests, and so on. The listed examples didn't even scratch the surface, and if you want the full list, then definitely check out some of the amazing guides that are out there. But to summarize, you have a whole lot of things that need to get done if you want to earn a completionist achievement. The game does again rather just ask you to take your sweet time with it and explore everything there is to explore. If you're willing to do so and genuinely enjoy a rather necessary deep dive into Assassin's Creed 3, then you will eventually unlock the completionist trophy and have the 3rd rarest achievement in the entire series sacked and in your collection before too long. With an even more rare achievement rate of just 0.6%, the All-Rounder trophy from Assassin's Creed Black Flag is the 2nd rarest achievement in the entire series. In a very similar way to its predecessor Assassin's Creed 3, both on this list and when it comes to the game's releases, you have to basically just do all there is to do. This time, however, rather than being focused on the single player mode of this game, this achievement is all about the multiplayer component. With there being so many game modes and things to keep track of, that the author of this guide suggests that you manually keep track of things to not completely get lost. You can imagine how many endless multiplayer matches you will have to get through before you're anywhere close to getting this achievement done. Rather than just playing all the game modes, you need to unlock every single skill, every single ability and ranged weapon, and then also use them in the multiplayer mode, with just the funds that are necessary to unlock everything you need costing more than 10k Animus credits. To describe this achievement in a few few short words, it is very, very grindy. Not only that, but as this title is quite old already, you might have trouble finding any people that are still actively playing it on a PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360, and will most likely have to find people that are willing to boost the achievement with you. No matter how you plan on getting this done, you will need a whole lot of patience. And while you can usually avoid the pain that multiplayer trophies give you in other titles by just going for the remastered version, this is not an option in the case of Assassin's Creed 4, because it also includes this multiplayer trophy in the remastered version. So as long as you want to fully complete Assassin's Creed 4, there's no escape from the multiplayer mode in either version of the game. There's not much to say besides best of luck to you if you choose to sacrifice the necessary time to get this done. The final and rarest achievement in the entire Assassin's Creed series that spans 12 games as of today and will definitely see many more entries in the future is called Abstergo Employee of the Month and is found in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood with an insanely low achievement rate of only 0.4% completion. And to add insult to injury, on PlayStation this is a bronze trophy, not silver, not gold, bronze. While getting every possible bonus at least once doesn't sound that bad after the trophy we just talked about, this one is described to hardly be possible without boosting and requiring quite a bit of grinding too, just so it's possible to even get the necessary level to unlock all of the bonuses. As someone who is not masochistic enough to go back to the original release of Brotherhood and play it on any of the original system it came out on, I sadly cannot tell you if it's very specific bonuses that make this one so hard or if it's the complete package. But I can show you this portion of a guide written by the users The Last Survivor D and Langy900, who took their time to write down all the bonuses you need to earn and add a strategy too, which further helps you to get the specific bonuses done. This and the last entry in the list prove why so many trophy or achievement hunters hate multiplayer modes. Not only do they often eat up time and request highly specific conditions to be met, if you find yourself trying to complete a 12-year-old title, it is virtually impossible to come across enough people who still genuinely play this game and are not just absolute pros at this point. So you're again almost forced to boost this with a group of other players that need the achievement too. Despite being an extremely painful and tedious achievement to earn, if you do or did manage to earn the title of the Employee of the Month in the Abstergo company, you deservedly unlock the absolutely hardest and rarest trophy in the entire Assassin's Creed series, which is a massive and incredible achievement. You had what it took to be one of the insane minority of only 0.4% of all players who have done this. And I think I speak for everyone watching this video when I sincerely congratulate you on your tenacity and persistence. Great job. So guys, with every single entry of the Assassin's Creed series covered, we are at the end of this video. If you like this format and want to see the hardest achievement on the Resident Evil or Bioshock series, click right here. But anyway, what did you think about the achievements in this video? Are you surprised at all about the multiplayer trophies? What is the hardest achievement in the Assassin's Creed series that you have earned? And do you think the DLC holds even worse stuff? Whatever your opinion or feedback is, please let me know in the comments. Also, please like and subscribe if you like the content and stay tuned for a video in the very near future. Thank you all so much and see you next time.